to Cincinnati Bengals Breakdown. Once again, I am your host, Stone Shields. Coming up on today's show, we're breaking down the Cincinnati Bengals fourth-round selection. Barrett Carter out of Clemson, another linebacker selection for Zac Taylor, Duke Tobin, Al Golden, and company out of Clemson. Got plenty to talk about on him, of course, on today's show. Doing a little solo producing here as we make our way through the Cincinnati Bengals draft. Make sure you guys hit that sub button if you haven't done so already. My right-hand man, Chris Daughtry, back in a matter of days, and we'll have plenty of more breakdowns to come, but we're just kind of hitting the bare bones of it here on today's show. Cincinnati selecting another linebacker, their second linebacker that they have selected so far in this 2025 NFL draft. How do I feel? Well, it's interesting, right? Cincinnati certainly has a need at linebacker, right? And they addressed it in the second round with Demetrius Knight Jr., and it kind of felt like that pick in the second round with Demetrius Knight was kind of a panic pick, right? Because Schlesinger went first pick of the second round to the Cleveland Browns. You passed on Jihad Campbell in the first, and you were sitting there saying, oh, no, we need to go get a linebacker in a relatively weak linebacker class. And you went out, and it felt like you kind of reached a little bit in the second round for Demetrius Knight, but then you had a good player here in Barrett Carter that was available to you in the fourth round. So there's definitely mixed emotions when it comes to taking a guy like Barrett Carter in the fourth round. Again, it was a need for you linebacker, but then you addressed it already in the second round, and then you kind of went back to address it again. My biggest takeaway here is I want Al Golden to draft linebackers. That's why I am excited about this pick, right? Al Golden, of course, his specialty is those linebackers. Obviously, when he was here a couple of years ago, coaching up the Cincinnati Bengals linebackers, what happened? Oh, yeah, the team went to the Super Bowl, and the linebackers really were a main reason why they were able to do it. Golden, of course, has been in college football recently. Clemson, of course, has had some matchups with Notre Dame. Golden has had a close-up look at Barrett Carter, and clearly he saw liked what he saw from Barrett Carter, who is a 3-year starter at Clemson. And really, when he was coming into college football, lots of people were talking about him as a potential round one guy. Obviously, as his career went on, that kind of subsided. But it kind of got to the point where it was, he might be overrated earlier in his career, and then everybody just kind of stopped talking about him. And next thing you know, he kind of transitioned into an underrated player. So Bengals getting another linebacker. I think from a fan's perspective, obviously the mood right now with the Bengals draft is a little bit of frustration because the guys that you've passed on throughout this process, we'll touch on a few of those guys here in a second, but Cincinnati opting to go with Barrett Carter here, round 4, pick 119 out of Clemson. Leads us to the pinned comment of today's video. Grade the pick for me in the comment section of today's show, A, B, C, D, or F. I want to know what you guys think. Sound off for us in the comments right now. All right, let's get to what Dane Brugler of The Athletic had to say here about Barrett Carter. This was kind of his pre-draft analysis that he did for The Athletic. He said, plays with the type of pursuit speed that can be weaponized as both a run defender and cover man, although he might be too reactionary and undersized for what some NFL schemes desire. At the very least, he will be lightning on special teams coverages while fighting for footing on the linebacker depth chart. I think special teams certainly is an area where we're going to see Barrett Carter come in and really have a significant impact early on for the Cincinnati Bengals football team. And we'll see exactly what kind of, competition he does within that linebacker room. The size is a bit of a concern, right? Now, he is a absolutely tough football player, but the size can be a little bit concerning. People question whether or not he has the ability necessary at the NFL level to really shed blocks when you're talking about Barrett Carter. So we'll see if he can develop into a guy that can really start for the Cincinnati Bengals football team. I look at him just kind of as we, selected him several moments ago. I look at him as a guy that is going to be a special teams player for you, probably one of your best players on special teams, right there with Tyson Anderson, right? And then hopefully can compete for some time in that linebacker room. But I think Cincinnati's plan is to rock with Demetrius Knight as their linebacker opposite Logan Wilson, with Oren Burks obviously in the mix there as well. So I think the Bengals think they got a really high-value pick here in the fourth round. I would have liked to see him go with a different position, but then you have to tell yourself, hey, wait, Al Golden is our new guy here running the show on defense. He needs to be calling the shots. He wants linebackers. So Zac Taylor, Duke Tobin, making sure that he is getting his linebackers. We'll continue with more on Golden, continue with more on Barrett Carter here in a second, but do want to give a shout out to our friends over at Game Time, as today's show is presented by Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch or the start of your event. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They've got those last-minute deals, right? Save up to 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more. The zone deals save even more and let Game Time choose the seats and the section for you. And that all-in pricing, toggling this feature up front, allows you to see your total up front so you don't get hit with any of those surprise fees at checkout like some of those other ticketing companies can get you with. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply, but again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, all guaranteed. I do kind of want to go back to this point here, talking about this Bengals defense. It feels like their biggest acquisition this offseason, apart from, of course, re-signing T. Higgins and Shemar Chase, was bringing in Al Golden. Because the things that they have done, the decisions that they have made as a football team really reflect, hey, we are putting a lot on Al Golden's plate, and we have so much belief in the kind of coordinator Al Golden can be for this football team. Bringing in 2 linebackers in this draft, right? Not bringing in a ton of guys in free agency. Re-signing some guys that have already played for your football team for several years and hoping that Al Golden can get the best of them. Now, he did spend a lot of time, past couple of seasons, with Notre Dame at the collegiate ranks. Did a tremendous job. So when it comes to recognizing talent around the country from a college football perspective, I do have a ton of trust in Al Golden, and I don't mind bringing in guys that he can develop into that linebacker room. But boy, is there so much pressure on Al Golden to deliver here for the Cincinnati Bengals. Just another example here with Barrett Carter. All right, still a couple of more picks left. Cincinnati, as of filming, has 2 more picks. 1 in the 5th, 1 in the 6th. Duke Tobin, Zac Taylor, they all said, kind of coming into the draft, hey, we would like to potentially add some more picks. We haven't seen them do it. I thought potentially they would get out of the second round. They have not, or they did not, rather, and then they didn't get out here in the 4th round either. So 2 picks remaining for Cincinnati. Let me know who you want Cincinnati to take in the comments section of today's show. Kind of wrap up here. Cincinnati taking Barrett Carter, round 4, pick 119, out of Clemson. He's a rangy guy, right? Some teams would pick on him from a coverage perspective, but I think people believe that he can develop into a good coverage linebacker. He's got good speed. He's got good lateral quickness, and he's a good tackler. So that's something that I do want to make note of about both of these linebackers that Cincinnati has drafted. They both can tackle, receivers. They can tackle runners, and they can even get to the quarterback and tackle the quarterback as well. And I think that definitely is a positive thing for Cincinnati because we have spoken at length how much Cincinnati has struggled at that position. So I think there's some good things that can come with Barrett Carter. I think he's going to turn into a special teams ace for you, be that next best special teamer next to Tyson Anderson. We'll see what kind of development he can do at that linebacker spot. There's some size concerns, that ability to kind of shed blocks, right, that we talked about early on in today's show. He doesn't have that great size, so I think that's kind of what saw him slip down a little bit, but he's a guy that's been a leader of a football team, a powerhouse program like Clemson. And I think Cincinnati, they're taking mature guys here. After that first pick with Shemar Stewart, I think they've really had to focus on, all right, we're going to take guys that are older guys. Barrett Carter, not nearly as old as Demetrius Knight, of course, but guys that have been around, played a lot of football, and have shown that they can be good leaders, and I think that's what they do here with Barrett Carter. My biggest disappointment here is that Lathan Ransom was on the board. Had a short that went out this morning, YouTube short, saying, hey, that should be the Bengals' top day 3 target. He was available for him, and then he went a couple of picks after to the Carolina Panthers. So that is a little bit disappointing to me that Cincinnati has not addressed that safety position whatsoever yet here in the NFL draft. But Cincinnati selecting Barrett Carter in round 4. We will have plenty more videos coming your guys' way here throughout the weekend and into next week as well. We'll have some undrafted free agency content for you guys coming out tomorrow additionally. So help us out. Help yourself out. If you haven't done so already, hit that sub button for me right now for all Bengals coverage, news, rumors, draft talk, and of course we will recap the NFL draft as well on Bengals Breakdown. Hit that sub button for me right now.